Chris, thank you very much for joining us. We're here at the Geneva Wealth Tech Forum. Just in general, what do you sort of make of events like this, and how important do you think they are for bringing different professionals together?
Well, I travel all over the world for conferences around fintech and technology and banking and finance, and mainly they're about networking. So you do learn quite a bit from opinions that discussed on the stage and from the keynotes, but the main reason why I come to conferences is for networking during the coffee breaks and the lunch and finding out what people are really doing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you mentioned fintech there. That's your real kind of area of expertise. What are your current thoughts on the kind of banking industry, and how do you think traditional banks are dealing with new technology?
Well, we've been through quite a few phases with financial technology, fintech, in that it started with a lot of new companies entering the market in the early 2010s, saying they're going to disrupt and destroy the banks. And that hasn't happened. The banks are still flourishing and doing very well, but there are 39 fintech unicorns worth $147 billion between those 39 companies that are succeeding in shaking the tree. And those companies are firms like Revolut, Monzo, Stripe, Square, and a number of others. And really what's happening is we're seeing the banks now collaborating with the fintech companies and working out how they can partner together. So rather than being destroyed and disrupted, it's actually becoming something that's changing in the banking's business structures and business models and go-to-market operations, which is a good thing.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned companies like Revolut there. Is there anything recently that's kind of caught your attention? Any new startups that are coming up in the kind of fintech area that have caught your attention, you think are really doing something good?
Well, there's a whole raft of companies that are doing interesting things, not necessarily the unicorns. There's a range of others, particularly the challenger banks in the UK, for example, between Atom and Starling and Tandem and Tide and Lintel. And there's so many. There's probably around 50 now that are startups as challengers to the banks in Britain. But they're not really challenging the banks yet. There's a long way to go. And the most successful of those is Monzo, which is the one I regularly talk to. But my favourite fintech in the world is actually not a fintech, it's a tech fin.
Okay.
And it's Ant Financial with Alipay in China, which I wrote an in-depth case study in my last book, Digital Human, around what they were doing. And the reason why I call them tech fin is they put the technology first. Fintech tends to do traditional banking cheaper and faster and better with technology. But tech fin doesn't actually understand anything about banking. They just start with technology and say, how can we do something with this technology to help people with money? And Ant Financial's built an amazing business that transacts thousands of transactions a second, worth billions of dollars. On Singles Day last year, for example, Ant Financial with Alipay on the Alibaba platform in China processed over $1 billion of sales in the first 90 seconds at 256,000 transactions a second. And that's phenomenal. I mean, Visa globally does about 2,000 transactions a second. So 256,000 transactions a second is just incredible. And that's the scale and sheer audacity of what you see coming out of new markets like China and India and Central and South America and Africa. And so that's really those markets where I'm most excited.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, you mentioned transactions there at the end. Just to finish up, have you had any thoughts on sort of how banks especially are adapting to this new blockchain environment and crypto, and what your thoughts on that are and where you kind of think that will go?
Well, I'd say about 99.9% of banks are actually completely trying to shut down anything to do with cryptocurrency. They don't want anything to do with it. They think it's just there for money laundering and pornography. And admittedly, that's one of its uses. Having said that, I think cryptocurrencies will develop into something that becomes an interesting marketplace over time. And it's a decade old now since Bitcoin appeared in the markets. And that is not the cryptocurrency that will succeed, because it's not got the scale or the processing capability to do a global currency system. But there will be a global currency system that's digital that will develop over time. And what that will be, we don't know yet, but I can see emerging trends. On the blockchain side, distributed ledger technology is also very exciting. A lot of the banks believe that will change the world of banking. Again, it might do, but it's taking a long, long time, because a lot of what blockchain and distributed ledger technology is dealing with is problems that the technology is not the solution. It's actually the industry having to agree the solution and then applying the technology. And so in some ways, we put the cart before the horse. We've got the cart, which is distributed ledger technology and blockchain, but we haven't defined how that's going to work and how it attaches to the horse, and we have to do that first.
Amazing. Chris, thank you so much.
Nice
It's
to
been
see
a
you.
pleasure to speak to you.